and Shyvana taken away from Havoc. Even with the Mac, they're still giving him a lot of respect. And Gragas and Sejuani taken away from Mini. So a lot of target bans on both sides. It's pretty clear who everyone wants to shut down.
Well, Havoc has definitely been a standout for Team Dreamek here. Had fantastic performances in that top lane, so no surprise to see him target banned out. I also like the bans against the jungler. They are fairly standard, but if you think about Noble and how they work as a team, they really rely on Mini to set the pace for them early. So putting him on the back foot, maybe getting him in a jungle that he's not quite as comfortable with, although he is a big Rek'Sai player, so we'll see if that's the final ban that will come out, or if maybe they'll look towards Rockin because Morgana is still available.
If they don't ban it, they will first pick it on the side of Noble, and we've yet to see this champion come out from Rockin. It does play pretty well into his more passive laning phase, will allow him to get ahead and farm, but passive play has been a big issue, especially for Noble last night. And then the comp picked against them just outscaled them. However, Morgana not banned. Oh, and of
there
course,
we go.
It's instantly first pick here, guys. Rockin, known as by many of his fans, especially as one of the best Morganas, if not the best Morgana in the world. And it's banned away from him every time, every night. Now that we're 7 nights deep, it looks like maybe someone's forgotten. Maybe they're not scared. Maybe they want to give him a shot at it. But either way, he's going to pick this one up for himself. And on the opposite side, Nunu and Janna already locked in the beginnings of a Juggernaut composition for the side of Team Dreamek.
Either way, even if they don't pick up the Kog'Maw and the Lulu, I love this second rotation from Team Dreamek right there. You have to think, if you remember back into the old days, Janna's Monsoon used to have a slow attached to it. Do you remember Sifa all the way back before she got nerfed to the ground? She would push you back.
I remember when Twisted Fate used to have Gate on his E and could just teleport around the map, and that was just a thing.
Perfect. So the thing about the new Janna composition, you would think, like, why would those work together? Obviously, they have good steroids that synergize with the hyper carry, but initially your Monsoon is going to push people out of the absolute zero. And the thing is those two combinations together, they work how old Janna did, in the fact that you push someone away and then it's very hard to get back into the fight because you're moving through that slow. So undoubtedly, if we don't see a Juggernaut composition, or at least we'll see at least a protect the AD carry comp. But on the other side, Noble respond and they take away that Lulu.
With a Lulu and a Morgana, it's the makings of a very similar protect the AD carry comp, obviously going to be immune to that magic damage. Lulu, with the help picks, going to have an 80 steroid that is much weaker in a lot of circumstances compared to the Eye of the Storm from Janna, but may be able to perform better if that Lulu does go into a solo lane and gets some ability power for herself. Of course, the final two picks going to come out as we see Jinx and Orianna locked in on the opposite side. This is 100% the protect the AD carry comp, and they're putting everything onto Neko here. Orianna, Nunu, Janna. I mean, if Lulu was available, I feel like they would pick that for the top lane, as they've just picked every supportive pick possible.
I'm not typically a big fan of picking up Orianna and protect the AD carry comps, because I feel like you don't necessarily need all of that protection. I mean, obviously without the Lulu, it's kind of a nice step up, but I do like the fact that Orianna is very strong in the current patch and the current meta, just because of the itemization changes to Luden's Echo to Athene's that really brought Orianna back into top tier form.
And Orianna has been one of these contested picks across everything in this, every single game in this series, just because we've seen so many talented mid laners pick it up. Alex each picking it up for himself once and absolutely dominating Yasui in his first showing in the tournament. We'll have to see if the Italian one could do something similar to Rockin in the mid lane, although it's going to be tough, especially with Rockin on that perfect comfort pick. It looks like Fire, though, going to snag the Kog'Maw Lulu lane. Very similar to the Jinx Janna lane, of course, in this early to mid game, but it looks like they want to try, or at least do their best to match the late game scaling of Neko on this Jinx pick. Of course, okay, so they're hovering over Gangplank right now, guys. If as an audience you can't see it, and I want to see this locked in. I would love to see the raise morale, like used as part of the Juggernaut. I guess technically the Jugger Jinx composition, and just this protect the carry comp with a Gangplank would be really interesting to see.
Now, it's important to distinguish what is a Juggernaut composition versus a Protect the AD composition. A lot of people think that it's reliant on the Kog'Maw and the Lulu synergy and where the Kog'Maw stands, which is part of it, but really it's more dependent on, is there a tank in the composition? If yes, then it's not a Juggernaut composition, because in Juggernaut, Kog'Maw is the tank as well as the carry. So these are both Protect the ADC compositions.
I mean, if you want to get real technical with it, I suppose.
All
right. Aurelia, going to be the final lock-in. Janornis Noob picking that one up for Havoc on the top side. And really have to. This is one of Havoc's go-tos. He's obviously, like many of these challenger players, used Aurelia and solo queue to dominate a lot of games, and it gives them yet another late game scaling option. But I feel like the only early game threat on their team is X-Sojin on the Nunu, and X-Sojin known for more of a passive and supportive jungle style, so it looks like they're giving absolutely no respect to the Noble mini or early game on the opposite side, not scared whatsoever of Mini and the potential playmaking that he could do.
Well, the planning here seems to be teams much more interested in shoring up their own composition versus trying to over deny the enemy. And we see this actually a lot in professional play, so I respect it. Obviously, it's a little bit scary. Rockin's Morgana has been hyped up to be this big powerhouse pick. We'll see if he's able to perform on it. Yesterday, kind of fumbled with his Z mechanics. See if maybe he'll find some more comfort and he'll be this Morgana that we expect him to be. Fun thing to note about Sojin, I don't think he's played the same jungler twice through the entire alpha draft.
I don't think so either. I don't think we've seen him double up on anything, and it's interesting to see. In this game, of course, with so many banned out, it makes sense that he's once again forced onto something a little bit different. Of course, the big theme for Noble overall throughout this entire tournament so far, at least, has been a more passive early game coming in for them. And against such a solid late game lineup on the side of Team Dreamek, you really got to wonder if they can afford to do that once again. Obviously, they tried to pick the Kog'Maw to make up for it, but we'll have to see if they can change their ways or if they're going to stick to a more passive play and how it's going to work out for them. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure to add one or two of these players to your Alpha Draft lineup. Maybe easier to do after we see them perform in this game. Already excited to see Fire and Neko go head-to-head in these late-game team fights, but we'll be back in about 2 minutes to put out your thoughts about the cast, about just about anything with the hashtag Alpha Draft Challenger League, hashtag ADCL, and we'll be back in a few.
Welcome to AlphaDraft, where eSports fans win cash and prizes for drafting top fantasy teams. Your mission is this: every week draft your dream team from the LCS pros in that week's matchups. You'll receive a $50,000 salary cap to select your team. Teams have 6 players: a top, jungle, mid, ADC, support, and a flex position which can be filled by any player. You will also choose the team that you think will play best. Players are scored based on kills, deaths, assists, and CS, and teams win points for Dragon, Baron, and Turret kills. Every week, choose from both free and paid contests that will give away thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. Once games start, watch directly from AlphaDraft and see your stats update live. Most contests have many winners, so check back often to see how you match up against other LCS fans. Good luck, and remember, knowledge is money. Be Alpha.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our second game of the night between Noble eSports, the newly renamed from Cerberus, and of course on the opposite side, Team Dreamek, despite my earlier attempts to call them Team Synergy. Sorry, guys. Of course, Dreamek and Noble. Excited to see this mid lane matchup. Most of all, it's going to be Rock in the mid lane on his famous Morgana, but let's go through both of the lineups here. It's going to be Fugis in the top lane on the Rumble, Mini in the jungle on that Rek'Sai, Rockin on the Morgana mid, his signature champion. Fugis and Havoc, though, trading back and forth. Fire and Novel in the bot lane with the Kog'Maw Lulu composition. And on the lineup for Team Dreamek, Havoc in the top lane. Sojin in the jungle on the Nunu. The Italian one on the Orianna mid. Of course, Neko and Ginormous Noob with the Jinx Janna bot lane. Two teams already starting off pretty defensively. Looks like it's going to be a 5-point on both sides. And defensive starts overall. We'll have to see what they decide to do with this, and if we're going to see a lane swap. It does look like we're going to see Neko and Ginormous Noob swap to the top lane. They want to shut this Rumble down early, and it looks like Havoc, interestingly enough, going to opt for the 1v2. We'll probably start with the duo jungle first. Now, of course, guys, if you're wondering what happened to Frostgurn, we had a bit of an incident earlier on, so she'll be back shortly. Just some internet connection issues. So as soon as she jumps back in, I'm sure she'll let us all know. Of course, in the meantime, I'll be solo casting this one out. And it looks like Rockin already going to push in with the early Tormented Soil. Once again, this is his mainstay champion. This is what he's known for. It's been banned away from him, and this is the first time it's been open to him. And we're really going to have to see if he can make an impact with this in the early game, or if it's just going to kind of fit well into his overall less aggressive playstyle, although going pretty aggressive here as he throws out those auto attacks. Taking full advantage of the minion waves there, and Novel can harass Havoc. And Sojin here in this exchange. Mini on the way as well. Looks like they don't want to let them jungle for free, although there's no one on the top side to catch any kind of wave here as Jinx and Janna start to push in. We do see some trading back and forth. We're going to see the flash come out. Havoc to make it out of that one with just a sliver of life. Sojin may not be so lucky as Mini goes in, though. Is going to get the knockup with the flash. They're going to try to find the kill. The flash out from Nunu matching up. Italian one going to go in with the shield. Flashing to get in range to save Sojin. An immense amount of early aggression coming in from Noble. This is not a team we once knew. Yesterday they played so passive, and already they are determined to disrupt this early jungle pathing. And so far, working out pretty well for them, although Sojin and Havoc not too deterred. The Smite able to heal Sojin up pretty quickly when combined with the Consume. So some early aggression not working out too well from Noble, but they may shift their attention down to Dragon. They do so. Jinx and Kog'Maw, of course, both able to free farm up in their respective lanes. First Dragon of the game, though, looks like it will go over to Noble. Rockin already providing so much pressure in this mid lane. Orianna kind of struggling to match up, and it looks like Rockin just so much more confident than he has been in the past. And it looks like Aurelia and Nunu going to push in on the top side. Going to snag a blue buff for themselves, so they will at least get something back. But as you see the Dragon animation fall across every member of the team, they will know that it has gone down. Of course, they don't have any vision of that area, but it will work out for them pretty well anyway. It looks like all four members descending upon this bottom lane turret. Kog'Maw has been building a wave, and they're going to try to fast push this one down for themselves. Aurelia and Janna backing, though. They may try to defend this, although it may be too late. Four members down here, ripping through the turret quite quickly. They have about 6 creeps left. It should be enough for them to break it, and we will see the first dragon and the first tower going down in the favor of Noble, and that's a pretty huge power spike. But of course, you can't discount Jinx farming for free up on the top side of the map. They are trying to mitigate this early game weakness on the side of Dreamek, whereas Noble was playing incredibly aggressive despite the late game Kog'Maw pick. Alright, first turret finally going to drop. 4 minutes and 30 seconds in. They will find themselves with a small gold advantage. Not too significant at this point in the game. Kog'Maw and Jinx still relatively even in gold, although the turret giving Kog'Maw a small advantage, so neither side too concerned about that. Really, when we're looking at these two comps, we just have to be aware of the AD carries. That's going to be the big question here. Can Neko scale up? Can his team support him in such a fashion? Or on the opposite side is Fire going to find an opportunity. Rockin, of course, in the mid lane, playing and pushing much more aggressively than he usually does, but still not providing too much kill pressure, and definitely not something Morgana is known for. Of course, a few exceptions here and there. Bliss, from the formerly on Team Samsung, was known for his Morgana mid lane, popularized at the start of the season. And Rockin trying to compare to that with the early aggressive, and Havoc just getting himself some CS here, level 2, doing the best with that Blade Surge, but taking a lot of damage back in response, and a dive coming from Fugis and Mini as they push in onto this one and punishing these guys for staying on the bottom side of the map. Surprising they didn't swap their duo back to the top side, but it's working out for Noble. Rockin' gonna grab that kill for himself. Right as I talk about Bliss getting solo kills, Rockin' getting one for himself, trying to prove his best Morgana. As he hits level 6 and picks up the kill onto the Italian one, near flawless calculations of his own damage in that exchange, and it's starting to become pretty apparent why you ban this away from him. A 10 CS lead in the mid lane, and now combined with the kill as well. He's playing pretty well. Few just now moving back to the top lane, a little bit more confident. Noble, though, pushing in this bot side incredibly hard. Novel and Fire already trying to create pressure on the bot side, and this is completely different than anything we've seen from Noble in the past. They're so confident as they push in here, and they have absolutely no fear of Sojin on this Nunu pick. They know that they're stronger right now. Obviously, Kog'Maw has not backed yet, though, so the gold advantage that he possesses just not really coming in to factor. Fugis, though, maybe a questionable choice to trade with the level 5 Jinx in this one situation. Sojin pushing in. Not going to find a gank opportunity quite yet. Mini moving to the bottom side of the map to back them up, but only level 3, denying his own jungle pathing, just to provide more pressure on this side of the map. And Noble now looking maybe a little bit too bloodthirsty as they push in here. Havoc taking a lot of damage, though. Clearly the main focus of their aggression. Mini pushing in as well. The Italian one may try to get something here, but has to be careful. Dodges out the binding. He's going to make his life a lot easier in the mid lane. Of course, rocking with just so much upfront burst damage on this Morgana pick. The binding starts to get max. He's just going to continue to do more and more. Topside, Fugis finally has a wave pushed into him, so he will get some XP safely. Still a little bit behind overall. Rockin' throwing out the binding, not going to land it. And a lot of early pushing here. Noble just so far up. On topside, though, Neko, it seems like Dreamek just knows that if they can survive this early onslaught, that they will be stronger as we approach the mid to late game. And obviously, there's going to be a huge experience advantage over the favor of Neko on the top side, as he's just able to free farm continuously, and Fugis forced to back once again, or back off. We'll have to wait for the next wave to hit into his tower. They are getting some jungle control as it goes down. Dragon will spawn in 2 minutes. We'll have to see if Noble wants to get that one as well. Mini not going to spot out the pink ward here. He pushes into the mid lane, so doesn't even want to check for that one. We'll clear out of camp and get that Razor Sight buff. Of course, about a 2k gold lead, a little less now. Starts to shrink in the favor of Noble. The Italian one taking so much damage, though. A single Morgana combo knocking out about half of his health, and of course, Shell Shackles available at any time if Rockin' wants to go deep for this one. Black Shield as well, going to mitigate Orianna's ability to disengage. So Rockin' playing confidently, showing his early game advantage in this lane. Sojin, they get caught out here, though, as the rest of the team descends on him. I don't think he expected all 3 members to be here. Is locked down. Rockin' in the mid lane, though, with the Soul Shackle. Should be able to get this kill on the Italian one. Not enough patience. The binding will land on someone else, but not on his intended target. Of course, no Ignite available as well. Puts him in a tough spot as he has no mana left. Went immediately for the needlessly large rod in this mid lane, so his mana sustain options are limited. And you can see it kind of turn against him now. Is that all-in attempt didn't quite work out for him. The binding would have landed. He would have snagged the kill, but of course just not patient enough with that one. Didn't expect the Orianna flash to come through. Top side of the map, Noble now flexing their muscles even more as they start to push in all of the outer tier turrets in a fast push strategy with a Kog'Maw against a Jinx. Not something we normally see, but it looks like it's working out well as they push in here. Sojin and Ginormous Noob going to try to defend this one. Of course, Neko on the way up. And even this early in the game, a Jinx empowered with a Blood Boil as well as an Eye of the Storm. Shield from Janna would be absolutely lethal, especially as Jinx is level 7 and does now have the BF sword. Kog'Maw, of course, with the Sheen finished. Not going to be quite as powerful in those sustained exchanges. May be able to do more upfront burst damage, though. We'll have to see. Lulu now transitioning into the mid lane to try to potentially stop Orianna's back here.
How's it going, Sifa?
Welcome back, my friend. I'm glad your internet connection issues got sorted out.
Yeah, I needed to fix some things, but I think we're good right now. So catch me up. Where are we?
So Noble, believe it or not, played incredibly aggressive early game. Lane swapped and took the bottom tier tower, pushed very hard into the second tier.
Fairly surprising for them.
Yeah, Jinx, of course, got to free farm on the top side as an exchange, but you can see the early gold lead and now the second dragon going over to Noble. A complete product of this early aggression. And for those of you just joining us, and of course for you, Frostcurrent, as well, we did see Rockin' get a solo kill in that mid lane, and now He appears determined to prove us wrong that he can play aggressive in the early game, has not bought any mana regeneration itemization, and is instead going for the immediate Luden's Echo. Ooh, gonna land that binding.
Landing that Dark Binding from Fog of War right there. Wow. The Italian one missing the Shockwave, and has he been like this the entire game? Because that's the Morgana that I expected. I know we were talking between the break, we're like, this guy better be amazing on this Morgana to live up to the hype.
He's been pretty excellent. Of course, he missed one binding to deny him, but if he had landed an earlier binding, he would have had 3 kills. Of course, only at 2 now, but a 93 to 72 CS difference. Rockin's never getting Morgana again. I'm pretty sure I can safely say that.
It's pretty ingenious, too. Obviously, he's standing to the side and he's throwing the Dark Binding from Fog of War. Morgana has one of the slowest moving projectiles in the game, but of course, you'll notice that when professional play, when people are being chased by people who have skill shots like Lisa and like Nidalee, like Morgana, what they'll do is they'll ward behind them, because it makes seeing the animation of the projectile so much easier to help you dodge the finished product. So, very smart of him to use the corners like that.
And the really interesting thing now is, of course, with the Luden's Echo finish, how much damage does this Morgana do, and can the Italian one survive this onslaught? He now drops to 0 and 2. Ginormous Noob, though, potentially caught out. Fire playing aggressive, but struggling to trade with Neko here. Of course, a lot of damage coming in as well. And these bot lanes looking pretty even. Another binding landing. Italian one almost certainly going to drop here as one more auto attack. Going to get this kill over to Rockin, and now on a killing spree. Now that he has a Luden's Echo, he looks absolutely unstoppable. Rumble on the top side. The TP is coming in, though. Neko could go down here. Going to get knocked back by the Monsoon. The heal coming out as well. Ginormous Noob in trouble. Havoc going to save his team with that teleport there, and Ginormous Noob coming up big with the disengage, but just so much damage coming out from this Noble lineup.
Fantastic equalizer right there. Placed perfectly across lane to get maximum damage, as well as stall any sort of escape, and they may be looking for the tower dive. Fugis was tanking a couple of tower shots, but Fire and Novel not going to commit.
Of course, they did get that mid lane tower, and they are now pushing up to the top side of the map. It looks like they may focus all 5 members, and I cannot stress enough, for those of you who are just joining us, this is not the Noble we once knew. This is not Cerberus Esports. Rockin in trouble, though. He finds that engage. It's going to grab himself the kill. Actually going to go over to Mini there, and they're blocking everybody down. Wild Growth there to save the day. Neko going to get knocked out here as Rockin now on a rampage, snagging that one with a cheeky auto attack, and Exogen taking so much damage from that Tormented Soil. Noble picking up yet another turret, putting themselves at 6-0 and absolutely dominating this game. They were so passive yesterday. They did absolutely nothing in the early game, but it looks like you give Rockin this Morgana and everything changes for the team.
Kind of curious about the Luden's Echo build. Typically that build is more reserved for mages that are going to cycle through their rotations more often, because they're going to get more Luden Echo proc. It's almost like the static shiv of the AP items. Obviously, the flat AP is going to do wonders against just the massive damage output and scaling ratios that Morgana can bring, but he's not going to get too much off of the pushing power or the poking potential of the Luden's Echo, just because her cooldowns are fairly long.
Well, more than anything else, I'm questioning why he's picked up yet another needlessly large rod. Obviously only 13 minutes in, and his gold is just through the roof. He has about almost 6k compared to Oriana's almost 4k, so 2k lead already in the mid lane, only 30 minutes in, and of course about 5k now. A little less 4k in the favor of Noble. And third dragon will be up shortly. They'll be able to get that one quite easily just with the raw advantage that they've had. And the protect the AD carry comp, the strategy of picking a late game scaling comp, worked so well for Storm yesterday. And it looks like it's turning against Dreamek, as they just did not expect the level of early game aggression to come in from Noble.
And surely they'll be able to find their... I always talk about the baton, the mid-game bridge champion, so seeing Morgana, obviously 4-0-1 right now, shore up this early game, move into the mid-game, and then hand off this baton to Kog'Maw. Has the ingredients there for his Trinity Force. Will find a big power swing for him once he hits that. And hopefully Fire will be able to take it away late game, or perhaps Noble may run away with this before Dreamek have a chance to respond. Already building up, what, a 6k gold lead?
Yeah. I think you misunderstand what Rockin does here on this Morgana, and you weren't here for the first 5-6 minutes. I'll give you a break. This is not a mid-game bridge champion. This is, I'm going to build AP and only AP, and I'm going to two-shot anybody who steps in my way. And I think that's how Rockin's going to play it. You know, we'll have to see if we get to like late game, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, if he shifts his role. But look at the needlessly large rod. Look at the Luden's Echo, only 13 minutes in. This guy is determined to kill people, and I don't think anything is going to stop that.
No, I think you're right. I'm just very curious how. I mean, obviously Morganas can be amazing carry champions, but they're usually picked up for their utility and their safety when they go into a solo lane, not necessarily their assassination and kill pressure. Because again, that Dark Binding cooldown, even with max level and a lot of CDR, that's still about 9 seconds. So you hit someone, half health with a Dark Binding, then wait again.
No, you hit him half health, you pool him.
You pool him, you walk
the
up.
Pool's damage scales with missing health. You walk up, you auto twice, and you walk away. And that's the rockin' way to play Morgana.
I believe the Italian one is a sub for top lane, though, that they're still waiting on their primary mid laner, Team Dreamek.
Yeah, so it is a
He's
little bit
been subbing
tough
for them for
him.
two days now.
I think 3 now as he swapped between multiple roles. I think he's played mid lane twice. We obviously saw him go toe-to-toe with Alex each and get, unsurprisingly, kind of destroyed. He played Xerath into Urgot from Alex each and just had a really tough time. He was in a pretty good mood about it. He said he wants to get better. He wants to improve as a mid laner, but that's not really his primary role.
He's a top laner.
Yeah, and we've seen him substitute for support as well, so Team Dreamek kind of struggling with these roster changes, whereas Noble has had the same roster throughout the course of the entire tournament.
Just waiting on connection issues. I think it's actually from Havoc this time, his Mac not responding.
Oh, yeah, I feel like we trash-talk the Mac too much. I feel like we're going to get in trouble for that, but at the same time...
You have a Mac. I think you're actually casting on a Mac right now.
The settings have to be pretty low, folks. That's all I'm going to say.
How's that client working out? There's the pushing power. Procs the Luden's Echo on the pool.
And of course, just that upfront damage added to the scaling damage of the pool makes the wave clear pretty much unstoppable. Noble now just going to move in here, and they have to be careful. Rocket can just wait off to the side. If he ever lands a binding, someone will die. He has the damage output combined with his team to assure that. Of course, a huge CS discrepancy in the top lane, or for the top laners. Of course, Rally at 74 to Rumble's 39. A lot of that due to just the sheer amount of map plays made as Rocket snags himself a blue buff. Happy to have that one, and unfortunately for Italian one, he burned a lot of mana trying to grab that for himself. So really just not going to be too much of a threat here, at least until he can regen back up with that Chalice.
You're explaining to me that there was a lane swap initiated by Noble?
Actually,
yes?
Not initiated by Noble. It was initiated
by Dreamek?
By Dreamek. Dreamek swapped on them, sent the Jinx top.
Other than their, the CS discrepancy between... No, actually, other than the kills on Italian one in the mid lane, because obviously he's not a mid laner. He's facing down Rockin's #1 champion, his Morgana, that's been banned away from him. They actually did fairly well in their lane swap as far as the objectives that they wanted to obtain, making sure that their Jinx got the free farm necessary. Likewise, it also gave free farm away to your Kog'Maw, but that's a massive discrepancy between Rumble and Aurelia.
Of course, Rumble, though, more team fight focus, as you've mentioned, though. Aurelia, an item-based carry, whereas Rumble is level-based, and they're just about even in XP, so not a huge discrepancy yet, but with the late-game scaling options of both Aurelia and Jinx, it seems like Dreamek could suffer. Of course, Rockin picking himself up yet another blue buff. Happy to have a little bit of extra gold, as well as that mana regen on this pure AP build from him so far. Dragon will be up in about 1 minute. Be sure that Dreamek are aware of this and are ready to fight. Of course, Rockin still always threatening to land that binding. The Italian one down 2 levels, and it's a rough game for Dreamek so far. Havoc going deep for this one. Has to be careful, though. Mini is on the way. Does have the knock-up available. Rockin using the spell shield to make sure that he's safe. Is going to find the binding on Italian.
Oh my god.
Up in an instant. Unstoppable. The damage is insane. Havoc in trouble on the top side. He'll make it out fine, but no one is making it away from Rockin if he lands a binding.
My favorite part of that was Sojin standing off to the side being like, I'm not sure about this one, mate, but now Neko in the top lane.
Gonna get knocked out. Has to burn heal there. The Tormented Soil combined with the Luden's Echo doing so much. This kill given over to Fugis. Gonna make back some of that gold. And the story of this game is just Rockin going off. 5-0 and 2. Landing bindings where necessary. Even the Tormented Soil now doing so much as Sojin has to be shielded up there, taking a small chunk of health. And it's a completely different team for the side of Noble.
What's going to be curious, though, because like you said, we've seen some weaknesses from Noble as far as the early game, and when you're facing up against the likes of Misfits, or especially Cloud9 Tempest, Frank Fang Gaming, they really thrive in their ability to make plays early game just due to their jungle powers. Not to say that Mini isn't an aggressive jungler, because he very much is, but you're facing down the likes of Hard, 14A, people like that. So it's curious to see that, do they need this Morgana pick to survive the mid game? Do they need these comfort champions, or were they able to transition that on later champions down the road? Because like you said, there's no way in hell Rockin is getting this Morgana again.
5-0-2, 145 to Oriana's 120. No matter what mid laner you are, you have to give some respect to that. Italian one, of course, not the best example due to his lack of experience, but even he has survived in lane versus Alex each, and so to get taken down by Rockin so easily is it's just impressive play from Rockin overall. Landing the binding, does have the ultimate, should be able to grab a kill here once again, and Rockin just completely unstoppable, technically dominating. Now 6-0-2. And his team just going to start pushing up the lanes as they split their attention. Rockin alone going to demand the attention of at least 2 people.
An issue, though, is that Rockin's not spreading his strength alongside his team. He's just repeatedly killing Italian one in the mid lane. And of course that's good for him because he is getting a lot of pressure in that mid lane. And like you said, multiple resources of Team Dreamek are being forced over into the mid lane to at least stop him. But it's not like Morgana's going to shred through towers. She's not insanely good at just pushing them down. So I'd like to see Rockin leave the mid lane, and we actually see that right now as he starts to mosey over towards the bottom side of the map.
Of course, his wave clears relative pick opportunities are going to be insane if he does land a binding. May struggle to do so, has Mini there to lock someone down, a much easier knock-up. And the Italian one still doing reasonable damage, but once again getting bursted out here. It's through the roof. The Italian one cannot find a break, does manage to make it out of there with Flash and the Monsoon from Janna. But there's just no mercy on the lineup from Noble. Not looking noble at all, I'm going to say. They're just not giving this Oriana a break.
See how patient they're going to be here on the siege, though. Are sticking around for this bottom tier tower. We talked about how a lot of teams are struggling to break the second tier tower line. Fugis actually in a little bit of trouble with Havoc up in the top lane.
Of course, Aurelia does have enough money that she can go back and finish up that Trinity Force if she so desires. So a huge boon to her and the top side, or for DRM Havoc. And they still have late game scaling on their side, despite the Kog'Maw. To kind of mitigate that, it's really difficult to deal with an Aurelia no matter what team comp you're running, just because of that Ionian Fervor passive. So we'll have to see if they can just continue to let this Aurelia scale. Exogen, though, and the rest of his team going to clear out blue buff. Dragon will be up shortly. Of course, now we're going to try to steal this one out, and finally, the Italian one's going to get himself a blue buff.
I think the story of this game so far has been said in all chat, although Teleport coming in, it was Italian one saying, "Can you stop scripting, please?"
Just cannot miss a binding. Exogen trying to channel the absolute zero there, but Noob going to get taken down quite quickly. Had to burn his cooldowns earlier on, and Neko not even able to finish up that ultimate. The Kog'Maw Trinity Force power spike too high.
That's unfortunate.
And just doing so much damage. Aurelia, the one scaling champion who has been allowed to farm, just nowhere in sight. Havoc more than content to push up on the mid side, but Noble pushing in along with the rest of the team, and Kog'Maw so far ahead, 1-0-2, a 30 CS lead. Fire finding his stride in this game along with the rest of Noble.
And Noble really thrive when they get Fire. It's funny too because they are very much a late game oriented team. Like you said, they're actually fairly passive, almost to a fault in their early game micromanage, but Fire is their shot caller. So when they get Fire involved with the team, things seem to go much smoother. So it's really refreshing to see them find a snowball like this. Rockin finally missing that binding, though. That would have spelled doom for Italian one. I think he smelt it as it went past. His life flashed before his eyes.
Havoc going to try to step here, but has to be careful. Rockin just does so much damage even to him. Throwing out the Soul Shackles there. Havoc in trouble trying to find his way in. Going to get knocked out. The Blade Surge there and the Surrender coming in so quickly. 13-0. Guys,
Wow.
I would tell you to add Rockin to your AlphaDraft lineup, but I think you know that already. The downside, of course, he will never play this champion again, and I can pretty much guarantee that. Some amazing plays from him, and just an absolutely stunning game from Noble.
He did more damage to champions than the entire enemy team combined. I'm just gonna make that statement.
Unfathomable. It's just amazing Morgana play, and it's There's so many people in this tournament who are known for a single champion, who are known for being good at one thing very well and have some other champions in their pool, and usually we see those things banned away from them. Yasui, of course, a lot of times LeBlanc banned away. Golden Glue, similarly LeBlanc main. This is the first Morgana main we've really seen in Alpha Draft. And let me tell you, you got to ban that Morgana if there's one thing that Dreamek has learned. So, guys, obviously a very short game, so we're going to have a bit of a delay before we hop into the next one, probably 5 or 10 minutes. In the meantime, update your Alpha Draft lineup. Give Rockin' a follow on Twitter. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure he's in the Twitch chat and he can tell you.
I think it's at NLB Rockin'.
NBL Rockin'.
Yeah. Did I say NLB?
NLB, yeah. Well, absolutely stunning performance. I don't have much to say about that one. I'm blown away. We'll be back with our next game soon. Talk to you guys in a few.